Hey, it's me, Aaron from UFO. UFO is another one in there, if you want. I'm going to talk about a couple of bands that I've been listening to, and I would highly recommend, like, anybody right now. Weird kind of eclectic bunch, but they all kind of be scratching a similar itch. So if you are looking for new stuff to listen to, or just want to get hyped up on some stuff that you already enjoy or have been meaning to get around to, let me throw them at you. So first off, I want to talk about the band Weston Super Maim. This band put out an album, I'd say like a month and a half ago, like fairly recently, and it is quickly taken like my top spot of like best album of 2024 for me, and it'll take something truly marvelous to like knock that down. Weston Super Maim is incredible. It's like car bomb style mathcore, a little less complex, and more focused on just grooves, I would say. Still complex, still mathy, but I'd say what makes them truly remarkable is the guitar solos. I haven't really seen many people talking about the guitar solos specifically, but I'd say like every other song, at least on the album, has a huge guitar solo that it's not just like typical chugging along with guitar solo on top. No, they're really like playing with effects, and it's befitting to the arrangement. It's like the whole song builds to this big moment. But yeah, I'd say the guitar solos really are an integral part of enjoying this album. Of course, I kind of like glossed over it, but I really want to emphasize the grooves on this album, like the riffs and the sonic palette of it all is really incredible. I don't know, the production, the sound, it's very pleasing to listen to. If you're into heavy music, of course. It's not like ambient, easy listening or nothing like that. But dude, you'll be moshing in your car. It's meant to be played loud. It's some good shit. But I also really want to like point out that it's like a mountain of emotions where you kind of it'll stay on something heavy and intense, and I'd say like aggressive, angry, I'd even say cathartic, artistic, creative. That's kind of the space it's in. Very colorful, heavy music. And then it'll often build to this peak, and as I mentioned, they'll throw in guitar solos at these peaks and such, but really what I want to emphasize here is just the emotional depth of these moments. They're these very cathartic releases, just full of color, and you might cry. I will say I cried. I'm like the type of person where I can't cry very easily, but random things will just get me, and often it'll be music or like TV or movies and stuff like that. And this album is one of them. That last song ends on this line. I think it's like endless meadows in every direction or something. And he says that endless meadows in every direction, and then he says we deserve this or something similar to that. And that part just makes me fucking cry, especially because it's like 7 minutes of just mathcore before that moment, like heavy shit. It's one of the most like heaviest moments, featuring the vocalist from Frontier on the track, and then this just beautiful cathartic ending. Perfect meadows in every direction. That's the lyric. Perfect meadows in every direction. We do deserve this. And oh dude, I'm all about like on my own journey, like dismantling shame and like toxic shame and self-love and finding self-love and self-compassion and things like that. And that part, man, like it speaks to like my inner child, dude. Like perfect meadows in every direction, we deserve this. Because growing up my whole life, I thought I didn't deserve shit. I thought I deserved garbage, but that was just the way I was treated growing up. And found out in adulthood that no, I'm a human being like anybody else, and I deserve good things. And dude, the music, 'cause you get that cathartic rage of the music that metal gives you. It's beautiful, and then you get that beautiful moment, and it's like this album is about like freedom, and even down to the introduction of the album, the opening like little robot line where he's like, no, this is art. And then he goes in, he's like, this is art. And it's like, it is art, dude. And it's so freeing. It's freedom, dude. So Weston Super Maim, man, #1 album of the year. I love them. I follow them on Facebook, and they're always like sharing recommendations too. So like if you're looking for good albums, always sharing just good mathcore shit, you know, a lot of time, classics, and then just stuff they're into, I guess. But very good shit. Album sounds immaculate. So that's the first album I want to talk about. Second band I want to talk about, I'll be fairly brief with this, but in a similar vein with like sort of that emotional up and down structure to the music, is Rolo Tomassi. Rolo Tomassi, they're not like a new band or anything. I'm sure if you know of mathcore, you might know about them. Probably know about them. They're not like a small band, but they're also not as big as like they probably should be. Like they are incredible. And Rolo Tomassi, they've been together for a long time, like over a decade. Their old stuff is very jazzy mathcore, moshy, little Nintendo core. They got a dedicated synth player, and then a kind of 2 vocalist situation with the synth player doing vocals. And he's actually the twin brother of the vocalist, and so they have a very similar vocal sound, which is very cool. But the vocalist is also female, so you get that kind of like timbral difference there. But they scream in a very similar way and sing in a similar way, which very unique sound. So what they do now is they kind of start off mathcore heavy, spazzy, sassy, you know, all that good stuff, big breakdowns, short songs, but they like have evolved into this more like post-rock, post-metal, post-mathcore, sound. Where they're doing this thing where they have these long songs and very flowy album structures where it'll be like long ambient sections, straight up ambient, just beautiful synth layers and beautiful vocals, just soft timbres and things like that. And nothing really repeats itself on their records, on their I'd say the last 2 records are where they've kind of really emphasize this more post-rock sort of vibe. But saying post-rock, I also don't want to negate the fact that it is mathcore. There is a lot of numbers being crunched behind the scenes on a lot of the riffs. Not all of the riffs. They really wait to get you there. But when you hit those riffs, those mathy riffs, they are mathy. They are fun. They are very fun. And it's not always just mathcore. Sometimes it's just jazzy. Sometimes it's just, there's clearly a lot of jazz influence going on the guitars and even drums. I want to point out, because I actually hadn't listened to their most recent album, Where Myth Becomes Memory, until yesterday. And the album before that one, Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It, I've been obsessed with that album since it came out in 2018. It got me through the pandemic. It's very uplifting, very beautiful, soaring. I believe in an interview, the band was talking about how they wanted it to sound happy, which clearly it's heavy music. Clearly it's not just happy. There's a lot of other emotions going on there, but there clearly is a cathartic sense of awe to that album that is very rare. I feel like that is captured in, I would say, in those little moments, like on that Weston Super Maim record, where you get those soaring endings and stuff like that, emotional heights. And, I can't emphasize how much you should go listen to Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It if you're into emotional experiences. It's an emotional album. It'll make you cry more than once. And also mosh, dude, the end riff on Alma Mater, that's some good shit. And Contratemps as well, that song too is very mathy, very dissonant, very screamy, very crazy. But I hadn't listened to Where Myth Becomes Memory until literally yesterday, so I want to kind of point out how that made me feel. That album, because it was recorded, I believe, during the pandemic, and you can tell, it's weird, it's almost like Grievances was a very heavy record. That's the one before Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It. So they went heavy, then they went very soft, and it's kind of like they came back to being okay, but we like making heavy music, but now we have this skill of making incredibly soft music too. And they bring that into Where Myth Becomes Memory, and it's beautiful. It's very good, because where Myth Becomes Memory, unlike their other music, it's able to be very beautiful, and then through that beauty, express a cathartic rage that is just insanely impactful. Like, I'm trying to remember the name of the track where it's about halfway through the record where it gets very, I would say dark, and but dark in a way where the vocalist, you could tell she doesn't care that it's dark. Like, she's like, I know this is dark and I'm feeling this and I don't care. Like, just this is very, the amygdala takes over like halfway through the album, where like there's this very just complete carelessness for shame and just full on I feel what I fucking feel. And then once after that moment, the album comes back to the beauty and all that, but it's already been burst open, and you can tell there's this intense sadness and loneliness to the album that's very common in these like pandemic records, you know. And this was one of these pandemic records, and so for that, it's very cathartic and beautiful. A little bit existential. I'm trying to remember the ending line of the last album or last song on that album because it's very beautiful. Made me cry. Shit. She says, "There's something. I feel a feeling that has always been here." Something along those lines, and that I feel that there is something that has always been there. And I'm like, whew, dude. And she's screaming. It's the biggest, soaring, most moment of the song. It's built up for like 9 minutes to get there. And she says that. She says, I didn't get the line exactly correct, but I'm displaying what it is being said and what is felt. That there is an emotion, there's a feeling that has always been there. And dude, it's like very transcendent. It's beautiful. It's awe. That's the emotion it's capturing. It's capturing awe. And yeah, Rolo Tomassi, amazing. You want to have emotional experiences? I'd say start with Weston Super Maim because it'll ease you in there. You know, it's mostly riffs throughout the whole thing and grooves, so you know you're like don't have to worry too much about it. But you get you to those moments of like, oh, I'm fucking feeling something, you know. And then go into your Rolo Tomassi, and it's gonna blow your walls wide open. That like emotional closed upness that I think so many of us can feel. Rolo Tomassi will break those walls down. It's great music, great fucking record, and it's inspiring. It makes me want to like make transcendent post-rock music, I guess. Yeah, and my break is over, but it's my last day, so I don't really give a fuck. So I'm just gonna finish off with throwing in one more recommendation. This is an oddball, completely different. I wouldn't say it's mathcore. It's Djent, you know. But dude, I have just come around to Textures. They're not new. They've been around for a long time too, but specifically their first two records. I've not listened to anything else. I'm not caught up on modern Textures. That's kind of the fun of it, is I like being like, okay, when I'm ready, I'm gonna go one album at a time to get to becoming a true Textures fan. But the first two albums, dude, oh my god, they're doing the Djent thing, but there's a very deep hardcore punk core to their music that is like uncompromised by the Djent, and I love that because Djent music so often can feel almost separate from metalcore, like not metalcore, sorry, hardcore, as metalcore can as well, a lot of modern metalcore. It just doesn't have the punk in it, which is weird, right? Because Djent is a subgenre of like progressive hardcore. Hardcore implies punk. You're mixing metal with punk, but there's really this isolation from punk. I think a lot of these modern metalcore bands are inspired by other metalcore, and they don't have those punk roots that those other metalcore bands had, and it's kind of like a game of telephone where punk is being lost. Not that that's a bad thing, because I'm not like a punk elitist, like it has to be punk to be good. Like there's plenty, like I love Periphery, but they're, you know, the punk is, it's like in there a little bit. It's in the influences of the influences, right? But they're mostly metal, you know, and then it's just kind of hardcore elements by name, by numbers, you know. But Textures is different. Textures they're doing the very fast, like 170 BPM, 180 BPM, fast Djent type shit. Very numerical and polymetric, you know, and shit. Very fun, but there is a uncompromised punk heart to their music that really fucking sells it to me. If I were to say like what they sound like to me, it's like Refused meets maybe, I don't want to say Periphery, but like a Djent band, you know, your typical Djent, like Veil of Maya. There you go. It's Refused meets Veil of Maya, with a few like of these more sung vocal sections, maybe like more akin to your traditional metalcore, like Killswitch Engage or something. I don't know. I don't listen to Killswitch Engage, but I'm just throwing out like what is a generic metalcore band. Sorry, Killswitch Engage fans. I don't mean to like call them generic. That's not an insult. You know, I guess maybe titular metalcore bands. I don't even know if that was a good example. Maybe a Atreyu or something. You can see my ignorance to titular metalcore, but yeah. Oh, my foot fell asleep. But dude, Textures. That was a long meandering way of saying Textures is the shit. Yeah. So those are the three listens. You know, if you want to mosh just straight ahead, it's very I'd say their lyrics too are very hopeful, inspirational, strength, you know, in a positive way, not like it's not very dark. It's very just like uplifting, inspiring, you know, hopecore type shit, right? You know, kind of like Snapcase style lyricism, for Textures. You know, if you want something that'll just get you through the day, to vibe to mosh to, you know, just feel good to, go listen to Textures, those first two albums. If you want something to be a little more aggressive to mosh to get the anger out, you know, but then have those moments of like feeling like, oh yes, like, go listen to Weston Super Maim. And if you want to cry and have deeply emotional experiences, feeling like you just went on a 7-day journey into the wilderness and found like a secret to the universe or something, go listen to Rolo Tomassi. Yeah, this is gonna be my last video from this location, this boring wall. Not this specific. I've been working at this office job for a few months. This was since I've started making like videos where I'm like talking to the camera, and on my breaks I'll record these videos. But this is my last day, so I'm not gonna be here anymore, which is actually probably gonna be a good thing, because I'll be now working in Malibu at a cafe, which is very, very cool. I'm a barista by heart, so and by that I mean I've been a barista I was a barista for about 2.5 years. Loved it. Never worked no Starbucks bullshit, just straight roasters and third wave. But now I'm coming back into it, and I'm very excited for that, because office job is not stimulating. It's boring. Malibu Cafe is paying me better, and it's fun. I'm excited to be a barista. It's stimulating. It's rewarding. I enjoy it. It's like a fixation of mine. I love coffee and the whole world behind it. Yeah, so that's gonna be very fun. I'm gonna miss this place for being able to just listen to music all day and fuck around, but it's also so boring, and no one talks to each other. It's very like a lonely job. Everyone just sits at their desk and it's like, bleh. So yeah, I'm done recording in this area. I work in El Segundo, so the no more airplanes flying overhead. That's a big problem with these videos, is like the airplanes are flying over. I've been lucky not to have any today for whatever reason. And then there's a fucking train that drives by too. You might have heard that a couple times. So it makes editing these videos kind of like annoying and distracting. And also there's people around and shit. So hopefully I'll find a good spot to record videos on my breaks in Malibu. We'll see. But yeah, this is my long video where I just talk about music I like and shit. Maybe do more of that. If you want to see more of that, let me know. And if you haven't listened, I have tons of random ass fucking videos I've posted. A lot of like visualizers I've put together with royalty-free art or videos and shit from online. Very like stuff I do when I'm bored at work, basically. The music itself is not bored at work music. It's music I enjoy making. A lot of them are demos for like later music. And then some of them are like older music. They're very random shit, you know, just stuff to look at while you're listening to music, just some vibes. And then I do have some like playthrough videos and stuff. I want to get a better playthrough setup because before what I was doing was I was like doing like the mime thing, you know? And I was out of laziness. Not that I couldn't play the parts, but I have like the proper tools. I just hadn't set up the setup, if that makes sense. But yeah, so have a good one, y'all. I'll see you later.